painting, and it is a skull. And the skull and the skull and bones is a constant symbol through these thousands of years of this brotherhood. This is a coin from a legal fraternity in America. There's the skull and bones again. There's the owl at the top, Moloch or Molech. And these symbols keep recurring whenever you're looking at a brotherhood organization. And this is the headquarters of the Skull and Bones Society in Connecticut. It's right next to the Yale University campus. And the Skull and Bones Society, created by the Russell Trust, pulls in 15 very highly selected students every year from the bloodline families, and they go on, in terms of the ratio, in very large numbers to enter the positions of power in America, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes where the real power is. The most famous Skull and Bones member today is George Bush, former President of the United States. His father, Prescott Bush, one of the people who through the Harriman organization helped to fund Hitler, was also a Skull and Bones member. It's very much a bloodline family operation. And it's part of a deeply, deeply satanic black magic network right across the world. On the other side of that coin, by the way, just incidentally, you see the scales of justice. The scales of justice, you know that lady who kind of stands there holding the scales on the court buildings of the world and stuff? That's actually a goddess from ancient Egypt, again, called Maat, or Maat, spelled M-A-A-T, and that's what that is. It's nothing to do with justice. It's another brotherhood symbol. Again, you see them everywhere. You go in any Freemasonic temple or secret society building, and you'll find, again, the black and white squares on the floor. And this is not just Freemasonic. Again, you go back into the ancient world, you see the same thing reoccurring. The floor is black and white squares. This is a policeman from England, and I've noticed in America you see the same thing, the black and white squares on the uniform and what have you. That is to indicate the Freemason secret society, although most policemen don't realize this. Now, this is Westminster Abbey, and the same you'll find in Notre Dame and these other so-called great cathedrals of the world. The floor is black and white squares. Why? Because the same brotherhood that uses this symbolism built the things and controls them to this very day. When you get into the transnational corporations, again, you see the symbolism. Because as we'll come to as we go along in a few minutes, all these apparently unconnected areas of our lives, banking, transnational corporations, oil companies, connect into the same group, the same controlling force. And so all over the major companies of the world, banks and what have you, you see the brotherhood symbols. This is ARCO, Atlantic Richfield Oil Company, and there its symbol, the pyramid with a capstone missing, looked at from above. One of the classic symbols. Chevron. What you need to do to see the symbolism of this is to see this not as two one-dimensional ticks, but as two three-dimensional boxes, one on top of another, which is very symbolic in the secret language. One square equals we control all that is right, all that is just, all that is fair. This is where we get everyday phrases from, like a square deal or being fair and square. One square on top of another square in any form means we control all that is right and all that is wrong, all that is positive, all that is negative, all that is just, all that is unjust, all that is this, all that is that. We control everything. And so that's what that's saying. And so appropriately, when you look in the main lobby of the Houses of Parliament in Britain, you find the two squares, one laid on the other, the so-called eight-pointed star, and that says we control everything in the Brotherhood secret language. Also, as I travel the world, the number of times I see police forces have their badge in the center of two squares laid on top of each other. This is Sussex Police in Britain, but I've seen it all over the world, the same thing. Very appropriate. We control everything. One of the most important strands of this bloodline, going back to the Anunnaki of the ancient world and this hybrid race that was created, is France. And particularly an area of France and near across the German border called Lorraine, or Alsace-Lorraine. And the House of Lorraine has been a real home for the purest of these reptile Martian or reptile human bloodlines. And the House of Lorraine developed this symbol, the double cross. See that there on this guy. Double cross. That's where we get the phrase being double crossed, being manipulated. How appropriate. And so you take the double cross, and we see it in the modern world in Exxon, the Rockefeller-controlled or guided oil company, with the double cross in the symbol. Again, to the uninitiated, people would look at that and say, oh, it's just a symbol, mate. But actually, to the initiates who run this show, it actually means something. A Texaco oil company, esoteric symbols again. The circle, the pentagram, and the T-cross of Freemasonry, the Tau cross it's also called. Again, symbols are talking to the subconscious. When you look at that symbol, you can't hear words coming off it in a conscious way, but it's actually resonating an energy that talks to the subconscious. This is why advertisers who are in this knowledge stream manipulate advertising in a way that they use certain colors, certain phrases, certain symbols to talk to the subconscious and get us to then buy the product in a conscious way, thinking we've made the decision when we've been stimulated from a much deeper level. Subliminal advertising is massive. Amoco, the oil company with the lighted torch. Again, the same symbol that keeps recurring all over the place. The British royal family, the Windsors, are one of the most identifiable of these reptile-human bloodlines that have been controlling the world increasingly powerfully for so long. In the ancient world, on caves and underground areas in Cappadocia, an ancient Phoenician center, you find the splayed cross on the wall, what we call now the Maltese cross. And so, appropriately, on the crown that crowns the monarch of England, this is the crown on which, or with which, the Queen of England was crowned back in the 50s, 1953, you see, again, the Maltese cross, and that keeps coming up again and again. Also on that was the fleur-de-lis. The fleur-de-lis is a symbol of Nimrod. Here are some of the sticks the Queen holds, you know, in the ceremonies and stuff, scepters they call them. And once again, you see the Maltese crosses and the doves. The dove, Queen Semiramis, the deity of Babylon, on the various scepters and bits and pieces that they use in their royal ceremonies and regalia and heraldry and stuff in Britain, because this to an initiate means something very significant. This is the Dutch royal family. Again, you've got the splayed cross, the Maltese cross, and the Dutch royal family are the same bloodline as the British royal family, because the royal families of Europe are one bloodline, just offshoots of it. And all the surviving royal families of Europe are blood related to William of Orange, William III, who helped this scam to really motor when he became King of England, as I talked about earlier. And one of the members of the Dutch royal family is a guy called Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, and he'll come up as we go along, good mate of Prince Philip, both knowingly manipulating this agenda I'm talking about. So we go to the Nazis. Now, of course, the Allies were against the Nazis. I read that somewhere too. But it's funny, the same symbolism comes up. On this Nazi, you've got the Maltese cross. It was a big Nazi symbol. You've got the flying disc, which was a symbol of the sun in Egypt and other ancient cultures. And as we go along here, here's the classic Heil Hitler symbol. What was that? It was a symbol from a ritual of a secret society, a satanic secret society, called the Order of the Golden Dawn, involving a guy called Aleister Crowley, which was working through both the Allies, the British, and the Nazis during the Second World War. And here's a guy who's he collects them, this fella. Another Nazi, look, he's got the Maltese cross. He's got the skull and bones, he's got the reverse swastika, the sun symbol of the Phoenicians, and he's got the eagle,